But tonight's top story. Campaigning has ended in phase 1 of the Bihar elections for 121 of the 243 constituencies. It's been a high decibel campaign in the last week in particular, with all the leading political parties' heads coming to Bihar, from Narendra Modi, Amit Shah to Rahul Gandhi, and of course Tejasvi Yadav and Nitish Kumar. It's a big election in particular for Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi Yadav, the two dominant figures of Bihar politics. Not to forget Prashant Kishore, the X factor in this election. But there is another X factor that's been less spoken about that I want to focus on today here in Patna. Think about this. Rupees 10,000 has been given under the Mukhyamantri Rozgar Yojana to more than 1.4 crore women. That's not all. The money continues to be dispersed even as the campaign is on. The opposition is crying foul, saying this is a violation of the Model Code of Conduct. But the Election Commission appears to be defending it, saying this was an ongoing scheme, even though the cash disbursement started just a couple of weeks before the polls were announced. Is this simply a voter bribe, giving 10,000 rupees even while elections are on to women voters? Or is it sharp election strategy? That's going to be my top focus. But first, take a look at our top story.
इस योजना की मदद से बिहार की मेरी बहनें अपना कारोबार कर सकती हैं।
The Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana, which gives 10,000 rupees to one woman per family, has become the NDA's unique selling point in Bihar. The scheme was launched on September 26th by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who transferred money into accounts of 75 lakh women, a total of 7,500 crore rupees. Launched just 10 days before elections were announced on October 6th, the cash transfer has invited criticism from opposition leaders, who are calling it a daylight bribery of voters. RJD MP Manoj Jha shot off a letter this week to the Election Commission, pointing out the transfers have continued even after elections were announced. Jha says direct cash transfers of 10,000 rupees have happened on October 17th, 24th and 31, long after announcements of polls. And another disbursement is scheduled for November 7th, just 4 days before the second phase of voting. The RJD MP called the cash transfer by the Nitish Kumar government brazen violation of the Model Code of Conduct. He urged the Election Commission to take immediate and strong action.
चुनाव आयोग स्वच्छ और निष्पक्ष चुनाव कराने में असफल रहा है। चुनाव के समय में 10,000 रुपये अगर दिए जा रहे हैं तो ये तो पूरा मॉडल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट का वायलेशन है। आखिर चुनाव आयोग क्यों शांत है?
चुनाव आयोग आचार संहिता लगने के पहले स्कीम आ गई, पहली किस्त महिलाओं की चली गई, और जो पैसे जा रहे हैं उसके पहले से हम लोगों ने चुनाव आयोग से परमिशन ले रखा है तिथि वाइज कि इस डेट को सरकार की योजनाएं जाएंगी, क्योंकि कल्याणकारी राज्य की स्थापना का मतलब कल्याणकारी योजनाएं नहीं रोकी जा सकती। उनका काम कोरी लफाजी, हमारा काम जनता की सेवा करना है।
The fuming Mahagathbandhan, caught on the back foot, is playing catch-up. The alliance's chief minister faced Tejasvi Yadav on Tuesday tripled the cash offer to women if the Mahagathbandhan came to power.
मकर संक्रांति के दिन खरवास के ठीक बाद यानी 14 जनवरी को माँ बहन मान योजना के तहत 30,000 रुपया माताओं और बहनों के खाते में 14 जनवरी को हम लोग डालेंगे.
Meanwhile, the cash transfers have become a talking point on the ground.
हम लोग के लिए सुविधा चाहिए, जिसका बाथरूम नहीं है, जिसका नल नहीं है, जो भूखे लिए मर रहे हैं, उसको कुछ काम लगाइए, बढ़िया नौकरी लगाइए, तब न जानेंगे सरकार के लिए कि हम लोग के लिए इतना करे हैं.
ये हमको 10,000 रुपया मिला है, तो हम लोग 7 गो बकरी किने हैं, तब हम हरा सब्जी के बिजनेस किए हैं.
There is a reason why Bihar's political parties are wooing women. Since 2010, the women turnout have been consistently increased. In the 2020 assembly polls, the women's turnout was 60%, outvoting the men by 6 points. And once again, women could become a deciding factor in 2025. With Rohit Kumar Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's raise the big questions that are at the heart of our democracy. Is this simply a bribe? Cash is being provided for votes, is the charge the opposition makes. Do these cash freebies on the eve of an election and then being given during the polls actually violate the model code of conduct? And will these cash freebies now decide the Bihar elections? Those are some of the questions I'll raise. Joining me now, Dr. S.Y. Qureshi. He is, of course, a former Chief Election Commissioner. Anshul Abhijit contested from here in Patna on a Congress ticket during Lok Sabha, national spokesperson. Dr. Ajay Alok, national spokesperson of the BJP, also a Patna citizen. And Major General Anil Verma is the head of the Association of Democratic Reforms that is trying to clean up our democracy. Appreciate your joining us. Dr. Qureshi, I want to come to you straight. Do you believe prima facie a scheme which is launched a week before the elections, 10,000 rupees is paid to 75 lakh women, and then while the campaign is on, 10,000 is being given to more women every week? Is this a violation of the model code, or is this simply playing with the law, weaponizing legality in a way by saying this is an ongoing scheme?
Well, Rajiv, is not a new issue. In every election, this kind of thing comes up. It used to come up in our time also. But we were very, very clear that an ongoing scheme is one. For instance, if a road is being built or a canal is being built, that is for public welfare. That will not be stopped. But very clearly, individually benefiting a scheme, where individual beneficiaries were getting something, was to be stopped. Even if the scheme had already been announced, the disbursement would stop. And I'm just shocked to hear this in your own bulletin a minute ago, that the permission was taken from the Election Commission with the dates given. Now, government has deep pockets. Why did they do it in 3 installments? Very calibrated timing. All that definitely, our interpretation has always been that even offering a cup of tea is considered bribe to influence voters. Bribe, which is a criminal offense under the IPC and under the Representation of People Act. It can lead to disqualification of the candidate and annulment of the election. In such a situation, I do not have words to comment on.
But because Dr. Qureshi, what the government, Bihar government is saying is that we announced this scheme in the last week of August. Then the Prime Minister gave 75 lakh women on the 23rd of September, and it's being carried forward into October. Do you believe that this is therefore going to be treated as an ongoing scheme, or do you believe prima facie, when the elections are on, the campaign is on, you cannot give the balance amount?
Yes, exactly.
Or the balance women?
Correct. That's what I said. That ongoing scheme is something which cannot be distributed and divided over individual beneficiaries. Individual beneficiary based scheme definitely was stopped. Even if it was ongoing, if suppose 1,000 beneficiaries have got it, after that the next one will not get it after the model code comes into play. And secondly, if I can take it to a larger issue, I have been suggesting and demanding that why did that the bright ideas for people's welfare come to the mind of politician after being in power for 4 years and 11 months? Why not immediately after coming to power? So I have been demanding that 6 months before the election, due date of the election, all these freebies and all these offers, new schemes should not be allowed.
That's a very good point you're making, because Dr. Ajay Alok, I spoke to a top Bihar IAS officer, and what he told me is shocking. He said that a letter was written to the Bihar EC asking for permission to the scheme. The Bihar EC did not act on it. Then the letter was sent to the Central Election Commission, and Gyanesh Kumar, the Central Election Commissioner, gave them permission to allow this scheme to continue. And according to some IAS sources, this was done under pressure from the center. Is this not a straight bribe? The Prime Minister of the country has repeatedly said there should be a debate on Revdi and freebies. Now the same government is giving freebies. The BJP, JDU allies are giving cash transfers 1 week before the election and during the campaign itself. November 7th is the next tranche, and there is voting on November 11th. Is this not a straightforward bribe?
Rajdeep, I guess you don't have amnesia. You remember things very nicely. I know that. This scheme was announced in the last week of August. Prime Minister inaugurated it on 26th. By 15th,
Yes.
By 15th of September, the government of Bihar wrote a letter to Central Election Commission and the Election Commission Bihar that this is the scheme, we are going to launch it on 26th, and subsequently this scheme the disbursement date will be as follows, which was duly approved. Number one. Number two, Mr. Qureshi was saying any individual thing, even a cup of tea is considered a bribe. Sir, your time is over. Now Election Commission has fixed the cup of tea rate to rupees 10, coffee rupees 15, and everything accounts for the expenditure. Even the Karyakarta, those who come in, they are also voters and they are entitled for a cup of tea and a food packet or whatever. Second thing, and the most important thing, this is not an individualistic scheme. What both of you are saying, I don't know, just to put on the narrative, this is not an individualistic scheme. This is the scheme for SHG group, which are registered with the government. Self-helping group of women, which are registered with the women. They are more than 10 lakhs. This is not an individual scheme. The government know all the names well in advance.
Ajay Alok, there is no harm. Sir, just a minute. Sir, just a minute. Sir, no one is denying that women can get these benefits. But when you do it during the campaign, that's the point. When you start giving a calendar that includes 3 days before the polls, 4 days, that's wrong. It's prima facie immoral. It may not be illegal, but it is immoral. Do you agree or not?
Who are you to decide what is wrong, what is right? If you have so much problem, we have taken permission in the second week of September. You were sleeping from then till now. You have gone to the court. Those who have objection now, they should have gone to the court. September itself, when the Central Election Commission allowed it. It's there in the Election Commission norm that the ongoing schemes of the government cannot be stopped after the election. It's there in the Constitution of Election Commission. Please go and study it. Without the basis of homework, you just try to put a narrative. That's
Sir,
not
an
going
ongoing
to
scheme.
Elections are going to over in next 7 days.
Sir,
It's not going to play. Nahi chipkega.
Sir, an ongoing scheme is initiated. An ongoing scheme.
संविधान खटाखट उसी के हिसाब से है.
Anshul Abjit, you want to respond? Ajay Alok is saying, when your leader is saying, hum khatakat benefits denge, when there are states like Karnataka where guarantees are given, when you have a situation where now Tejasvi Yadav is saying, we come to power, we'll give you 30,000. This is a battle of freebies across the parties. How is the BJP different to what the Congress promises?
Oh, come on, Rajdeep. That was a vision document for the future. You've decimated Bihar, and we've come up with a radical plan to rejuvenate Bihar, have schemes for its economic revival that cannot be compared to an absolute transactional bribe which flouts the model code of conduct. Look, the election, we all know how unprincipled and unscrupulous the BJP is. They will go to any extent. We've heard it in all the Prime Minister's speeches as well. He can say anything he wants in his speeches. I'm not even going to respond to that. But the Election Commission here is mired itself in deep controversy that started with SIR and it continues. They have the discretionary power to decide what is an ongoing scheme, the nature of that ongoing scheme. If they do not use that discretionary power, this scheme did not have any budgetary allocation. We know what the budget was for Bihar in 2025. It was 3.2 crores. There was no such allocation. The scheme itself cost 1.5 lakh crores or whereabouts. It is a centrally funded scheme because the Bihar government has no money in it. We know what the transactional value and shameless value of that scheme was. You know, let me tell you, Rajdeep, what's going on all over the country with these kind of schemes. You've taken away people's jobs. You've taken away people's livelihoods. In Bihar, there is no scope for unemployment. There is poverty everywhere. There is migration. And in the end, when you want to get votes, you said, we have this compensatory thing for you. Don't worry. We are going to try these schemes. If that doesn't work, we are going to try and use the word Guspetia or Katta and other sign of words to get your votes. This is the nature, this is the sad, regrettable nature of BJP and NDA politics. It's absolutely shameful.
Okay.
And they've co-opted the election commission into this, which is an absolute disgrace.
You mentioned the election commission, and I want to come to you, General Verma, on that because you head ADR, Association of Democratic Reforms. Do you believe the election commission is the one which has to answer the questions? Because you've got the BJP will say this is an ongoing scheme. Should the election commission have been the one which should have drawn the red line and say, no, during the campaign, you will not disperse cash?
Rajdeep, good evening, and good evening to all the panelists. I would like to just read what the Model Code of Conduct of the Election Commission of India says. From the time elections are announced by the Commission, ministers and other authorities shall not A. Announce any financial grants in any form or promises thereof, or B. Except civil servants, lay foundation stones, etc. of projects, of schemes of any kind, or any promise of construction of roads, provision of drinking water facilities, etc. Now, if this is what the Model Code of Conduct says, I leave it to your listeners to decide whether the present election commission is following what the Model Code of Conduct says. And Dr. Manoj Jha has filed a petition, or he's written an application. Then the election commission should respond to him and tell him, yes, this is permissible.
Okay, the election commission sources are saying it's permissible to us because it's an ongoing scheme. But I put this question to the two main parties, Tejasvi Yadav of the RJD and to Samrat Chaudhary, Deputy Chief Minister from the BJP. I asked them the direct question, is this a bribe or not? Are you bribing the voters? Listen to what Tejasvi Yadav said and what Samrat Chaudhary said. युवा एक आपका टारगेट वोटर है, जो यंग वोटर है, जो नया वोटर है, क्योंकि कई वोटर 25 साल से कम है. दूसरा टारगेट महिला, क्योंकि नीतीश जी ने मुख्यमंत्री रोजगार योजना के तहत 10,000 रुपए 10,000 rupees have been given to more than 1.2 crore women. लोग कह रहे हैं ये गेम चेंजर है. बिहार में जिस पार्टी को महिला वोट देती है वो जीतती है. नीतीश जी का ये एक तरह से वोट बैंक बन गया है, महिला वोट बैंक. क्या आप मानते हैं आप युवा को टारगेट कर रहे हैं, वो महिलाओं को कर रहे हैं?
रिश्वत देना इज अ गेम चेंजर.
आप इसे रिश्वत कह रहे हैं?
रिश्वत है. 20 साल से तो याद नहीं आया था नीतीश बाबू को या एनडीए के लोगों को.
ये कह रहे हैं वेलफेयर है.
लेट्स बी कंप्लीट. ठीक चुनाव से पहले और चुनाव के बीच कल भी 10-10 हजार रुपए महिलाओं के खाते में डाले गए. और ये उधार है, ये लोन है. इंटरेस्ट के समय महिलाओं को वापस भी करना पड़ेगा. कई महिलाओं ने दिवाली और छठ में पैसे भी खर्च कर दिए. और ये पैसा इसलिए दिया गया है ताकि वो अपना व्यवसाय जो है शुरू कर सके. सो कॉल्ड, आपको भी पता है, हमको भी पता है, 10,000 में कौन सा व्यवसाय जो है शुरू कर सकती है. ये साफ तौर पे चुनाव के समय पैसे दिए जा रहे हैं 10,000 रुपए. तो ये रिश्वत नहीं तो और क्या है?
इलेक्शन कमीशन ने तो कुछ कहा नहीं.
इलेक्शन कमीशन क्या करेगी? नैतिकता कहाँ रहेगी? अब इलेक्शन कमीशन की विश्वसनीयता कहाँ रहेगी? है
आप कह रहे हैं खुलेआम ये रिश्वत है और इलेक्शन कमीशन
एकदम है, एकदम है. बिहार की जनता कह रही है रिश्वत है.
बट इट कुड इन्फ्लुएंस वोट्स. ये लाडकी बहन महाराष्ट्र में हमने देखा जिस तरह से
माताओं बहनों को रिश्वत नहीं चाहिए. घर में नौकरी और रोजगार चाहिए अपने बाल बच्चों के लिए.
एक और आरोप लग रहा है कि जो 10,000 रुपए महिलाओं को दिए गए हैं मुख्यमंत्री रोजगार योजना में, वो विपक्ष कह रही है घूस है. सीधा चुनाव के अगर आपने महिलाओं के लिए इतना कुछ किया होता तो 10,000 रुपए चुनाव के पहले देने की क्या जरूरत थी? चुनाव के पहले छोड़िए, चुनाव चल रहा है और आप अभी भी महिलाओं को पैसे दे रहे हैं. ये कहा जा रहा है ये सीधा घूस है. इट इज अ ब्राइब.
देखिए एक चीज समझिए, पूरा बिहार जानता है कि लोकसभा में महिला बिल किसने फाड़ा था। वो राजद लालू जी के गुंडों ने फाड़ा था। 30 साल हो गए, आरक्षण नहीं लागू हो पाया। मोदी जी ने 1/3 आरक्षण देकर 29 से इसकी व्यवस्था की। नीतीश जी ने महिलाओं के सम्मान के लिए 50% आरक्षण दिया। आज 60% महिलाएं बिहार में प्रतिनिधि बनकर है। तो बिहार में महिला का सम्मान क्या होता है वो एनडीए जानती है। और जीविका दीदी को 10,000 जीविका दीदी को जोड़ते जोड़ते आज 1,70,00,000 महिलाएं इससे जुड़ी है। और उनको
10,000 से क्या होगा? आप लोग कह रहे हैं जैसे 10,000 जब आपने चुनाव के पहले दिए, फिर 1 साल पहले दे देते, 2 साल पहले, सडनली कैसे चुनाव आता है पैसे दे दो? ये एक तरह से जो विपक्ष कह रही है घूस है।
56,000 करोड़ का मार्केट जीविका दीदियों का है जी। उनको लखपति बनाने का काम शुरू किया गया। 2 लाख रुपए तक हम सहायता करेंगे और उनको लखपति दीदी बनाएंगे। ये हम लोगों का घोषणा है। और 1 करोड़ महिलाओं को लखपति बनाना है बिहार में।
नहीं, ये आप महिलाओं के लिए कुछ अच्छा करना चाहते हैं, इस पर दो राय नहीं है। लेकिन जिस तरह से टाइमिंग हुई है,
क्या टाइमिंग?
आप चुनाव चल रहा है और आप 10,000 रुपए दे रहे हैं।
राजदीप जी, ये योजना
जी,
कोई भी फार्म भरेगा उसको मिल जाएगा। इसमें कोई किसी का रुकावट नहीं। जो आवेदन करेंगी महिला बहनें उनको मिल रहा है। राजद ने साफ साफ बता दिया कि मैं महिला विरोधी पहले भी था और आज भी हूं। उसने रोकने के लिए चिट्ठी लिखा। तो ये स्पष्ट दिखता है कि पहले भी हमारे लिए परिवार, राजद का परिवार, मतलब लालू जी अपनी पत्नी और बेटी को ही परिवार महिला मानते हैं। और पूरा प्रदेश की महिला जिसकी समृद्धि होनी है उसके लिए कभी काम नहीं किया। तो जनता जान चुकी है।
So you've heard two sides of the story. I want to get Dr. Qureshi in again. Dr. Qureshi, what should be done? Should the moral code of conduct now be changed to make sure, as you said, 6 months before an election, no cash welfare schemes can come into place? Is that feasible, given that we have so many elections in this country all the time?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Ajay Alok for admitting that times have changed. That is exactly the point. In our time, it was very routine. These, as I mentioned, these kind of cases used to come before us, and we had very clearly defined them that an individual beneficiary scheme had to be stopped, even if it is ongoing. Only collective the beneficiary were like road and canal or something, then only those could continue. So, well, either change the model code. In fact, not only the model code, it is in the IPC, Indian Penal Code, section 171 B and E, and also section 123(1) of Representation of People Act. You have to change the acts, you have to change the model code, and if you want this to be the normal practice, so be it. Okay, let it be done. Now the ball is in the court of the CEC. If the complaint has come, and they have to decide whether it is individual beneficiary scheme or not, and they can stop it even now, which I think they should.
Okay. You're saying they can stop it even now, and they should. Ajay Alok, respond. Here is a former Chief Election Commissioner saying that prima facie he believes what has been done should not have happened.
See, that could be his purview. I don't deny that. But as a responsible government, we wrote it before announcement of the election, and we took permission from Chief Election Commissioner and the Election Commission of Bihar. And if any of my esteemed opposition, super brilliant opposition, they had any objection, then they should have moved to the court then and then, way back in September, not shouting, not machaing hai toba now. Even Rajdeep Sardesai, as a responsible citizen, should have gone to the court that, my lord, this should not be allowed in the month of November or in the month of October. This is violation of model code of conduct. None of you did that. Now you are getting illusion and delusion. And by the way, let me remind my Congress team, this scheme is not a 1.5 lakh crore. 7,500 crores have been earmarked in the budget way back in February. It was planned then only. And it is already taken out of the budget. That's why we are going to allot. So whenever you raise any question, please do the homework nicely. Bihar government has planned this, executed this, and this is being
20,000 crore.
Now, why you are having apathy with the poor woman of this country? Tejasvi is saying ये उधार है. लौटाना पड़ेगा. Look at the blatant lies speaking on in front of you, and you didn't challenge him. That Nitish Kumar, the Chief Minister of the state, Home Minister, everybody has said no, this is not refundable, and he's saying lies in front of you, and you are encouraging him. I mean, why you guys are trying to set a narrative which is not going to work? Elections are just 7 days away. The first day after tomorrow, and today is 4th. So this is not going to work. Please do your homework carefully, otherwise after 14 you will keep on having delusions and illusions all the time, and we won't be able to help you.
You know, Ajay Alok, I am not going to the court. It's not my job. It's the job of the opposition. So Anshul Abhijit, respond to Ajay Alok that you should have gone to the court in the month of September if you found it objectionable. A quick response.
No, we objected. I mean, this is, look at the shamelessness here. That anything we object to, the first response is go to the court. Of course, we'll go to the court. They want us
all the time say
hang on a minute.
Go to the court.
अजय भाई रुक जाइए, जवाब तो देने दीजिए. आपको तो मौका मिल गया. स्कीम तो आपकी चली रही है, तो आपको परेशानी किस बात की है? तो आप रिलैक्स करिए ना. मैं ये कह रहा हूँ, नहीं राजदीप भाई, listen to me. That is what they want कि हम कोर्ट कचहरी के चक्कर काटते रहे. नहीं. Look, hang on. This is a much deeper and a far more deeper argument that concerns the Indian state. How institutions are being completely abused, taken over, and then said, no, apply to the court. When the verdict will come, they will have your reprieve or not have your reprieve. It's an absurd argument. It's been said time and again. What is the point of all this? You have to go to the court and challenge their every decision, particularly before an election, when there are such transgressions. It's completely transgressive here, what is happening. You know, you cannot give anything to the Bihar people. You've robbed them of their livelihood, and this is a compensatory state. As many people have argued, you have reduced this state to being a compensatory state.
I've heard all sides. I've heard all sides. I think the jury is out. And I think these are troubling questions as to how far can any government go with its cash transfers. This is a debate that this country needs to have. And it's a debate that is urgent in a country like ours where several state finances are struggling. But I appreciate my guest joining me. Let's turn to the ground then. I went to Nitish Kumar's village in Nalanda district to find out how does this scheme operate on the ground? How do the women actually see it? Is it part of Nitish's conscious attempt to cultivate a women's vote bank? Or is it, as his rivals claim, simply evidence that he wants to bribe the voters ahead of a big election? Listen in to what the voters in Nitish's home village had to say. Our travels across Bihar have now brought us to Kalyan Bigha, the village of Chief Minister Nitish Kumar in the district of Nalanda. Now, Nitish Kumar has over the years projected himself as Sushasan Babu or a governance guru, in contrast to a Lalu Prasad who was the charismatic populist. Nitish's vote bank has silently been cultivated among women voters, or the Mahila vote in particular, through a series of measures, including Jivika Didis, who have set up self-help groups, many of whom have been provided 10,000 rupees each just before the elections. Will the woman vote stay with Nitish Kumar is a crucial question, or has fatigue set in after 20 years in power? Let's try and find out in Nitish's home village. जीविका दीदी में आपको भी मिले हैं क्या पैसे?
जी हाँ, मिला है 10,000।
10,000 मिले हैं, क्या किया उससे?
उससे सिलाई वाला काम कर रहे हैं, सिलाई करते हैं।
सिलाई करते हैं तो फर्क पड़ा है आपके लिए?
हाँ, फर्क पड़ा है।
आपको लगता है नीतीश कुमार ने अच्छा काम किया है, या आपको लगता है अब बहुत हो गया, 20 साल के बाद बदलाव चाहिए?
बदलाव है कि जो पैसा लिया है वो बिजनेस कर रहे हैं।
कोई मुझे कह रहा था शॉपिंग कर रहे हैं महिलाएं छठ के टाइम पे, बिजनेस नहीं शॉपिंग कर रहे हैं।
नहीं, गलत बात है। जो जो उसमें तो लिखाया गया है वो चीज खुद कर रही है। कोई गाय कर लिया है, कोई खेती कर रही है, कोई दुकान कर रहा है, हम खुद सिलाई कर रहे थे।
नमस्कार मैडम, कैसी हैं? हाँ, आप लोगों को जीविका दीदी में ये मिले कि नहीं, पैसे मिले कि नहीं? 10,000 मिले हैं। नीतीश कुमार ने कुछ किया है क्या महिलाओं के लिए?
हाँ, करवे किया है।
मैडम, आप क्या करती हैं? आप भी जीविका दीदी हैं?
है, मगर पैसा नहीं मिला।
आपको पैसा नहीं मिला अभी तक? क्यों नहीं?
पता नहीं।
क्या करेंगे 10,000 रूपए लेके?
क्या करेंगे, देख रहे हैं, सामान लाएंगे।
सामान लाएंगे? कौन सा सामान? अच्छा, इसके लिए सिलाई के लिए। आपने क्या किया 10,000 रूपए लेके?
कपड़ा का दुकान किया है।
कपड़ा का दुकान है आपका?
घर के पैसा लगा के
छठ में पैसा खर्च किया कि नहीं?
नहीं, बिजनेस में लगा।
आप लोगों में से किसी को जीविका दीदी में पैसे मिले कि नहीं मिले? कितने मिले?
10,000।
क्या करने वाली हैं उससे?
उससे रोजगार
करें, रोजगार करने वाली हैं। नीतीश कुमार से आप खुश हैं?
नीतीश कुमार से नहीं खुश है।
क्यों?
क्योंकि गांव में हर चीज का सुविधा मिला है।
क्या मिला है?
हर चीज मिला, गांव में रोड मिला है,
हाँ।
बिजली मिला है, पानी मिला है, गाड़ी के आने जाने की सुविधा मिला है।
ये बताइए, नीतीश कुमार जी के आने से कोई फायदा हुआ है क्या?
सर ऐसा है,
हाँ,
नीतीश कुमार के आने से यही फायदा है कि लाइन बिजली इतना है।
हाँ, हाँ,
रोड सड़क सब बढ़िया।
हाँ,
हम लोग डिलीवर बॉय हैं।
हाँ, तो
नीतीश कुमार के आने से इतने फायदा है कि रोड बिजली।
लेकिन 20 साल हो गए, 20 साल बाद कुछ हुआ है कि नहीं?
अभी तो फिलहाल कुछ नहीं हुआ सर।
अभी तक नहीं हुआ, बाकी कुछ नहीं हुआ है।
कुछ नहीं हुआ।
पर महिलाओं को 10,000 रूपए मिल रहे हैं।
महिलाओं को 10,000 मिला है। घर में लड़ाई लगवा दिए हैं।
कैसी लड़ाई?
जिनका आदमी औरत को पैसा मिला सर,
हाँ,
तो बिजनेस के लिए पैसा दिए थे वो,
हाँ,
तो बिजनेस नहीं करे तो घर में लड़ाई है नहीं जी।
नमस्कार मैडम, कैसी हैं? आपके पति बता रहे हैं आप चीफ मिनिस्टर हैं, सीएम हैं जीविका दीदी की। इसका मतलब क्या है?
कम्युनिटी मोबिलाइजर हूँ मैं।
आप कम्युनिटी सीएम यानी चीफ मिनिस्टर नहीं, कम्युनिटी मोबिलाइजर। क्या आपको लगता है इससे कोई फर्क पड़ा है लोगों को?
फर्क पड़ा है।
क्या फर्क पड़ा है महिलाओं को?
महिलाओं 4 दीवारी के अंदर थी, जो आज बाहर खुलकर सबसे बात करते हैं। बहुत आगे महिला निकल गई है। पहले से बहुत महिला समझदार हो गई है।
समझदार हो गई है।
पहले कम उम्र में शादी कर देती थी, अब वो सब कुछ नहीं होता है।
और ये 10,000 रूपए जो हैं, जो जीविका दीदी में मिल रहे हैं, उससे क्या लोग व्यवसाय कर रहे हैं या शॉपिंग कर रहे हैं?
नहीं नहीं नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। जो जैसी दीदी है, कुछ बकरी ली है, गाय ली है, जैसी मैंने दीदी है उस तरह से रोजगार अपना। सब्जी के दुकान खोली है, कितना दीदी है जो किराना स्टोर।
10,000 रूपए में हो जाता है ये सब?
अपना और घर से लगाई है।
घर से लगाई है।
हाँ।
और इस गांव में कितनी होंगी दीदी इस तरह से?
यहाँ 300-400 महिला जुड़ी।
300-400 जुड़ी हुई है?
हाँ, 400 महिला जुड़ी हुई है।
आपकी पत्नी को पैसा आया कि नहीं?
नहीं आया सर।
नहीं आया
जी नहीं।
कुछ नहीं आया। नीतीश कुमार जी ने कुछ किया है या आपको लगता है बदलाव का टाइम आ गया है?
नहीं, तो बदलाव का टाइम तो आ गया सर। तो
बदलाव चाहिए आपको?
जी हाँ सर, बदलाव।
कोई नया नेता आना चाहिए कि नहीं?
सर, नवयुवक चाहिए।
हाँ, नवयुवक चाहिए। क्यों? क्यों? नीतीश कुमार 20 साल से हैं।
हाँ, नवयुवक के बारे में सोचें।
तो कौन है नवयुवक? तेजस्वी है।
हाँ।
कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि उनको डर है तेजस्वी आएगा तो यादव राज आएगा। ना
समय बड़ा बलवान है।
तो आपको लगता है कि नीतीश जी का समय अब खत्म हो रहा है, नया समय, नया युग चाहिए आपको?
हाँ,
नीतीश जी ने कुछ किया कि नहीं?
करवे किए हैं।
हाँ, फिर
किए हैं, तब उम्र इनको बहुत हो गया है।
उम्र हो गया है।
हाँ।
थक गए हैं।
हाँ, थक गए हैं। तो नया पीढ़ी के लोग चाहिए, नवयुवक चाहिए।
आपके
युवक के बारे में सोचेंगे।
ये जो 10,000 रूपए मिल रहे हैं उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा?
रोजगार चाहिए। 10,000 से क्या हो जाएगा? तेजस्वी कह रहे हैं कि सबके रोजगार देंगे।
आपको लगता है कि वो रोजगार दे पाएंगे?
तो मुख्यमंत्री बनने के बाद न पता चलेगा कि देंगे या नहीं।
तो एक चांस आप देना चाहते हो?
हाँ, चांस मिलना चाहिए।
नमस्ते, कैसे हैं? कैसे हैं?
ठीक है।
ठीक है। क्या नाम?
नवीन कुमार।
नवीन कुमार। आपका नाम सर?
अवधेश कुमार।
अवधेश कुमार जी, चुनाव में क्या होगा इस बार? बदलाव होगा कि नहीं?
नहीं, बदलाव कैसे होगा?
क्यों?
नीतीश कुमार इंसान नहीं जी, महापुरुष हैं।
गांव में भी थे, आपके साथ पढ़े थे क्या?
जी ना, हमसे सीनियर हैं, 5-6 साल सीनियर हैं।
लेकिन गांव में
आते थे, यहाँ रहते थे।
रोजगार है कि नहीं गांव में?
जी हम लोग खेती करते हैं। रोजगार
पर रोजगार है कि नहीं बच्चों के लिए?
जी ना, रोजगार ना है गांव में।
तो तेजस्वी यादव कह रहे आएंगे तो रोजगार देंगे सबको।
वो जी कहने के लिए है, संभव जी है।
संभव नहीं है
जी ना, वो कह रहे हैं कि हर घर के नौकरी देंगे।
हाँ।
संभव जी है।
फिर से आ सकते हैं लालू जी के साथ?
वो राजनीति में जी कुछ भी हो सकता है। अब लालू जी आ जाएंगे तो क्या करेंगे?
यही है,
लालू जी आ जाएंगे तो क्या कहेंगे? बड़े भाई हैं, बड़े भाई के तो इज्जत करवे न करेंगे।
वाह, तो कहीं ना कहीं आप अभी भी कह रहे हैं कि कौन जाने कल क्या करें।
तो कौन जाने कल क्या होगा।
आप वहीं के वहीं रहेंगे?
जी हम वहीं के वहीं हैं, हमारे माननीय वहीं के वहीं हैं।
चलिए, शुक्रिया जी। चाय बहुत अच्छी थी। थैंक यू। नमस्कार। Okay, as you can see, our continuing focus there with ground reports from Bihar. Okay, let me turn to the big breaking news that we are getting this evening, and it's coming from Chhattisgarh. That train accident which has taken place in Chhattisgarh is our breaking news at this moment. Let's get you more details on that horrific train accident in Chhattisgarh's Bilaspur, where a freight train and a passenger train collided head-on, causing several coaches to derail. Over a dozen passengers have been injured, with some reported to be in a critical condition. At least 6 people are now feared dead. Joining me now is Sumi Rajappan, who's on the spot. Sumi, can you give us more details? At least 6 people are feared dead. Many are injured. Can you give us more details?
Yes, absolutely. This was a memo train, meaning a main line electric multiple unit train that was operating, and the train number was 68773 that was operating from Korba to Bilaspur, and in fact it was coming from Korba, and it's a memo train, as I mentioned, a Gevra Road Bilaspur train that collided head-on with a stationary goods train near Lal Khadan, Bilaspur around 4, unfortunately at 4 p.m. today. The impact was so hard, and the impact occurred on the quadruple electrified, automatic section between Gatora and Bilaspur. And the engine in the first compartment, as you see, which is usually the first compartments of the trains are reserved for women. And in this particular memo train, where it doesn't need a separate locomotive to pull it.
A gang rape that's taken place, where the accused, the hunt for the rape accused have turned violent. Police opened fire after the accused in that gang rape allegedly attacked an officer. The accused have been shot in the leg. Take a look at tonight's Get Real India story.
A chilling twist in the Coimbatore gang rape case. What began as a manhunt ended in gunfire and arrests. In a major development, 3 men accused of gang raping a college student near the Coimbatore airport were shot and arrested after they allegedly attacked an officer while attempting to flee. On Monday, when cornered near a temple, the 3 accused reportedly attacked the officers with sickles, injuring a head constable. The police say in turn they opened fire and hit the men in their legs. All 3 were rushed to the Coimbatore Government Hospital along with the injured officer. Investigators said the accused, originally from Shivagangai district, were employed at a local construction site and had a string of criminal cases against, including murder and theft. Before committing the crime, the men had consumed alcohol, stolen a 2-wheeler, and were armed with a sickle. Coimbatore police said over 300 CCTV cameras were scanned to trace the culprits.
சஸ்பெக்ட்ஸை நேரோ இன் பண்ணாங்க. அப்படி நேரோ இன் பண்ண சஸ்பெக்ட்ஸ் வந்து துடியலூர் அருகில் உள்ள வெள்ளக்கிணறு என்ற ஏரியாவில் பதுங்கி இருக்கிறதா ஒரு ஐஓக்கு தகவல் வந்து அவங்கள செக்யூர் பண்ணும்போது அவங்க வெப்பன் யூஸ் பண்ணி அங்கே வந்த காவலர் ஒருவரை வந்து தாக்கியதால்.
With the investigation, the political storm also continues. AIADMK leaders hit the streets, distributing pepper sprays to women, calling it a wake-up call for safety in Coimbatore. With Pramod Madhav in Chennai, Bureau Report, India Today.
All eyes are on Zohram Mamdani, the man who hopes to become New York's first Muslim and South Asian origin mayor. Mamdani is ahead in most of the polls at the moment, taking on Andrew Cuomo. Should he get elected, it could be a major turnaround in US politics and could also anger a certain Donald Trump. What is the secret sauce of Zohram Mamdani? Could he be creating history come tomorrow as New York votes for a new mayor? That's my next focus.
In this city being
So what explains the Zohram Mamdani phenomenon in New York as the city goes to the polls? Will history be created in New York? Joining me now is David K. Johnston, a Pulitzer Prize Award winner, someone who's tracked Donald Trump very closely, also written on him. Appreciate your joining us, David. Zohram Mamdani could well become New York's mayor this time tomorrow. What explains, you believe, this Mamdani phenomenon, as I'm calling it, someone with part Asian heritage who could well be the man New York decides to elect?
Well, it looks highly likely that he will win the election. And he's indicative of two, I think, important things that are going on in America. The most important one is that Mamdani's campaign is based on, I'm going to make life better for you. Instead of charging almost $3 every time you get on a bus, I'm going to make buses free, which will mean having to change other spending by the city. In neighborhoods that don't have grocery stores, we're going to have the city run grocery stores or subsidize them so people can get access to healthy foods. And I'm going to take those of you whose rent is regulated by the government and freeze it, at least for the moment. That is, I'm going to make your economics better. And the enthusiasm for him is substantial. There was a rally a week ago at which he drew 13,000 people, and the same day his opponent, Andrew Cuomo, the former governor, the disgraced former governor, drew 300 people. The other issue that's going on is that in New York City, at least, you don't have the successful appeals to bigotry, particularly anti-Muslim bigotry, that are becoming key components of the entire Republican Party and are, of course, pushed by Donald Trump.
So in a sense, though, at a time when anti-immigrant rhetoric is on the rise, where Donald Trump attacks Mamdani both in a way for his heritage, as well as the fact that he's attacked because he's called a communist by Donald Trump, you're telling me the fact that Zohram Mamdani is Muslim, that he is part Indian or of Indian origin, are not being seen in New York City as necessarily liabilities. New York is an exception in that sense. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. I think this would be true in some other large cities. And the amount of anti-immigrant fervor in America is, I think, largely limited to rural areas and to people who are die-hard supporters of Donald Trump. And as we're seeing with Trump's rounding up of people, throwing people to the ground, putting toddlers in diapers in zip ties, plastic handcuffs, there's been a great deal of backlash from this. This is not what people expected. In New York City, you have a population that is generally well educated, not just in Manhattan, but in all of the boroughs, and which is used to living in a multicultural society. Whereas you can live in many places in the Midwest of the United States and never run into someone who doesn't look like you if you're a white person.
So is multiculturalism in a sense still part of the American dream, or is it just part of the New York dream? The idea that America is this great melting pot of cultures, therefore you have someone Muslim of South Asian and a South Asian who could be the leader of New York. Is it about also, as you said at the outset, about the cost of living? Anger increasingly over the cost of living. So Mamdani, in a sense, is possibly at the right place at the right time in the right city.
Well, Kamala Harris, who is of both Indian and Jamaican origin, almost won the presidency. She only lost by 1.5 percentage points, one of the narrowest races in American history. So overall, if you're a candidate offering something, because people look at, in a democracy, they look at the government and say, what are you going to do for me? And it's increasingly clear that in the Trump administration, it's what is Donald going to do for Donald and his friends at your expense? So I think nationally, while there is a lot of especially anti-Muslim bigotry, that is not the overall defining picture of what's going on in the United States. There are elections in some other states, New Jersey and especially Virginia, for governor. They have what we call off-year elections. And I think the outcome of those elections is going to tell us a lot about whether, when the Democrats run, are they just going to run against Trump? Is that a good strategy? Or do they need to have a strategy that says, we're going to do all these good things for you? One of the things, Rajdeep, I'm surprised I haven't heard the Democrats use is Donald Trump's repeated statements that wages in America are too high. And you would think they would be exploiting that because wages are not too high. They've been, for 90% of Americans, flat to falling since 1973.
Thank you very much for joining me here on the news today. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's all that we have on the show today. We'll wait and look at that New York verdict very, very closely. As I said, it could mark an important moment in American politics that has been so turbulent in recent years. Just about enough time then to say goodbye, with a promise, of course, that we will continue to track this Bihar election. We'll do it from the ground, not from studios. And I think that's the difference. All our reporters have fanned out across this state. We'll bring you plenty of special reports and, of course, tell you with the exit poll and the verdict day next week. For now, thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. And what do they say in these parts? Jai Bihar. Namaskar.